Hi everyone, Nadine Briggs here from Simply Social Kids. I wanted to talk to you today about listening. So obviously when someone's talking, we're supposed to be listening, but there are a lot of things that are going on with kids who have social challenges that make it really hard for them to really grasp what someone else is saying or look like they're an active and involved listener in what someone else is saying. So there's a few tips around that I wanted to share with you, and I've certainly shared this with the kids that I work with. So one of them is, one of the big ones is eye contact. Everyone says, oh, you need to look somebody in the eye in order to talk to them. So for kids who are on the spectrum, or for some kids just in general, like looking in somebody's eye is really a very personal and difficult thing for them to do. Would never want that to become something that is so hard for them that they avoid socializing because they have to look somebody in the eye. I think if you look sort of in the general vicinity, maybe eyebrows, nose, maybe toward the ears, just sort of in the general vicinity of the eyes, then you can certainly get close enough if looking straight at somebody in the eye is too difficult for you. So that's one tip, is to make sure you're looking at them, or at least having your shoulders and your feet pointed toward the person if you are in person. If you're in Zoom, making sure, or online at all, and making sure you're looking at the person. Usually when you're on Zoom though, you're looking down at the person in their box and you're not usually looking at the camera like I am right now. So it can look a little bit like you're not looking at them, but you really are. If that makes any sense. It's a little bit trickier online with that. But you just want to make sure that you are not just all slouched back in your chair, but you're leaning forward, you look engaged in what the person is saying, and just kind of taking in what they're saying. So you also, especially if on Zoom or even in person, want to remove any distractions. So if you've ever been with somebody who's looking down at their phone the entire time you're trying to talk to them, certainly does not give the message that you're particularly engaged in what that person wants to say or is saying to you. Or when they're online, a lot of times what kids will do is they think they can get away with kind of playing a video game on the side and that nobody will notice. Pretty much 100% of the time people notice. It's very obvious when somebody is doing that. We'll call them out on it sometimes, but we always really notice that they're playing something other than being engaged with what we're doing in group. So we want to make sure that that's removing all the distractions. And if they tend to be really distracted by that, just close out the game, put the phone far away so that you're not tempted to look at it while you're trying to talk to somebody else. We also want them to listen to the entire thought of a person and wait for that pause before they share their side. So one way to think about that is like a ping pong game, like you're ping ponging the ball over to the other person. It's their turn to talk about the topic, and make sure you stay on topic so you don't have them talk about something while you're thinking about a whole different topic that you want to talk about. So you want to make sure you're staying on the same topic of conversation so that it's like a ping pong game. So you ping it over to them, they talk and they finish their thought, there's a pause, it pings back to the other person. They add to the conversation and the other person is waiting for the pause, and back and forth that it goes, so that it's a back and forth conversation and not a monologuing situation. We want there to be a dialogue between the two different people. Also, you want to make sure that you are not just waiting for them to finish so that you can say your next thing. Because if you're thinking about what you're going to say next, that's also pretty obvious. You can tell when someone is not really listening and engaged in what you're saying. So nodding, saying, uh-huh, asking a follow-up question, things like that can show that you're engaged in the conversation. I did want to share with you one experiment that I did pre-COVID when we were together at my center, which I thought was kind of interesting. So I had come on into the group one day and I had said, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what was in my backyard, and I've got it on video. Said it pretty much like that. So clearly I'm excited about something that was in my backyard. I've got video proof of the thing. And I did this in multiple groups over a course of a week. I took it into each one, and so I did the exact same thing in each of the groups. For those of you who have kids with social challenges, it might not surprise you to know that a lot of them just looked at me. He didn't ask to see the video. He don't even know what it was. And so it was great. It was kind of what I expected they were going to do. So it gave me my lesson for the day, where I was kind of like, if someone says to you, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what happened, your next sentence back to them should be, oh my gosh, what? Tell me more. Or as I'll say to my friends sometimes, like, give me more words. I need more words. Tell me what's going on. To show that you're excited too, to hear what is it that they saw, or what is it that they're wanting to share with you. Even if it's something that, isn't particularly interesting to you. So maybe somebody got a new job or something, or maybe somebody got their first job. They're going to be an ice cream scooper this summer and they just got this job and they're super excited. Like, oh, you're not going to believe this. I just got a job at XYZ ice cream shop. And the other kid might even be feeling, like, well, geez, I didn't get a job. And maybe a little, oh, you're working there. I'm a little jealous that you're working there. They still need to say, oh, that's awesome. That's so great. I'll come by this summer and get some ice cream and see you in action. would be an appropriate response other than just kind of a bunch of nothingness in terms of how they're looking. So we've talked too about the kids when they come online, we're ready for them in a social way, right? So if they come online and we were all just kind of like, hey everybody, how you doing? Like that would not be a welcoming thing. They wouldn't want to come on and tell us what happened in their week if this is kind of like, how we're looking. If we have really flat affect or face, like we just kind of don't care what happened to them. So we're engaging in, with our nonverbal facial expressions, our body language is leaning forward, we're interested in what they have to say, even if it doesn't directly affect us, or maybe it's not something we are not inherently really interested in, we're going to talk to them about that, and because they're interested. So we care about other people. When it comes down to being like connected with someone else, and I said this to the kids last night, I had a bunch of teenagers on, you can't skip this step. This is not a step that can be avoided. To have that true connection with somebody else, you need to be able to communicate with them and listen to them, and they listen to you about things that are important to each individual, even if it's not important to the listener. If it's important to the other person, then it's something they have to like latch onto and engage in and talk to that person and be vested in that conversation, ask follow-up questions, make comments. Oh man, I can't believe that happened to you. Things that are showing that you are listening and you are actively involved in their topic. So it was interesting when I came on with my video, or I said to the kids, hey, I see my video, and nobody said anything. And I even kind of like upped the ante a little bit. And I was like, it's really, really interesting. And it's something I hardly ever see in my backyard. And still they didn't bite. And it felt almost like I was forcing my video on them. And so I am going to put the video at the end of this video so you can also see the video. But I had a bobcat in my backyard. I live in New England, and very rarely we'll see bobcats. There's a wetlands right behind my house. So sometimes we see some pretty interesting animals, and the bobcat does show up now and again, and it peed in my garden. I thought that was just an extra bonus, because what kid doesn't love that? So you'll see the video at the end, but I thought it was interesting because not every day do you see a bobcat in your backyard, and they certainly don't pee in your garden and get that on video. So I have all that on video, which again, it's at the end of this video. So it's important to engage. It's important to be interested in what other people are saying, even if you're not. Have your nonverbals ready. Make sure you're looking in the vicinity of the eyes, that your body language is showing you're leaning forward, your shoulders and your feet are facing that person. You're invested in what they're saying, even if it doesn't directly affect you in any sort of way. And that's how you make a connection with somebody and make them feel heard and important. And that's how we start with really making good friendships. So I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please hit the like button and hit subscribe if you'd like to hear more from us, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. You just poop it on your own. Okay.